Westwood High was like any other suburban high school. Cheerleaders, nerds, jocks, and, of course, bullies. But among them, one name carried the most fear: Logan Carter. Logan wasn't just a bully. He was the bully. The kind who thrived on dominance, who walked the halls with his chest puffed out, knowing no one dared to challenge him. He didn't just shove kids into lockers, he broke them mentally. He had teachers wrapped around his finger, the principal constantly looking the other way, and an entire school terrified of stepping out of line. For 3 years, Logan had ruled Westwood High unchecked. His victims? The weak, the outsiders, the quiet ones. That's why, when Maya Jones transferred to Westwood, he saw her as nothing more than fresh prey. Maya was different from the other kids he tormented, but Logan didn't know that. Not yet. The day Maya Jones walked into Westwood High, nobody thought much of her. She was quiet, kept to herself, and didn't seem like the type to make waves. A slim, dark-skinned girl with sharp eyes and an unreadable expression, she moved through the halls like a shadow, unseen, unnoticed. She wasn't trying to be invisible, but she had no interest in making friends either. The whispers started almost immediately. She's from Brooklyn. Her dad's in the military. She used to go to some crazy school where kids fought all the time. Most of it was rumors, but there was one thing nobody knew. Maya was trained. Not in the way most kids were trained for basketball or gymnastics. No, Maya's father, a former Marine, had taught her discipline, strategy, and self-defense from the time she could walk. She wasn't just strong, she was deadly. But she wasn't looking for a fight. Unfortunately for Logan Carter, he was about to find one. At first, Logan Carter didn't even notice Maya. She wasn't on his radar. He had his usual targets, the quiet nerds, the smaller kids, the ones who wouldn't fight back. Logan had built a reputation at Westwood High as the king of intimidation, and nobody had challenged that. But then Maya crossed his path. It started small. A shoulder check in the hallway. Logan expected her to stumble, maybe even apologize. Instead, she barely moved. Her feet stayed planted like a stone. That was the first time Logan actually looked at her. "What's your problem, new girl?" he sneered. Maya just tilted her head, eyes cold and unreadable. She didn't react, didn't flinch, didn't give him the satisfaction. Logan gritted his teeth. He was used to people folding under pressure. But something about her silence got under his skin. So he escalated. He knocked her books out of her hands. He spread rumors about her. He even tried blocking her way in the cafeteria. But nothing worked. Maya never reacted. And that made Logan furious. So one day he decided to take things too far. Logan wasn't used to being ignored. Every other kid at Westwood High either feared him or avoided him. But Maya? She treated him like he didn't exist. That ate at him more than any insult ever could. So he pushed further. It was after school, in the nearly empty gym. Logan and his crew had cornered one of Maya's classmates, a smaller kid named Elijah. Logan had taken the boy's backpack and was tossing it back and forth with his friends, laughing as Elijah desperately tried to grab it. Maya walked in. She stopped, watching the scene unfold. Logan smirked. Well, if it isn't the queen of silence," he taunted. "Come to save your little friend?" Maya's eyes flicked to Elijah, then back to Logan. Still, she said nothing. "Yo, Maya." Logan's friend, Jake, chuckled. "You too scared to talk?" Logan grinned. Maybe she's just too weak to do anything. That's when he made his biggest mistake. With a cocky smirk, Logan shoved Elijah. The boy stumbled and hit the floor, his book spilling out of his bag. Maya moved. Not fast. Deliberate. Controlled. She took a slow step forward. Then another. And another. The entire gym went dead silent. Something about the way Maya walked, calm, unreadable, and yet absolutely certain, sent a chill down Logan's spine. He had bullied dozens of kids before, but this was the first time he ever felt like he might be in danger. "Hey, what's your problem?" Logan scoffed, trying to sound tough. Maya didn't answer. Instead, she stopped right in front of him, looking him in the eyes. Then she smiled. A small, knowing smile. And that's when Logan realized he had no idea who he was messing with. Logan's smirk faltered. He had spent years intimidating others, but something about Maya's calm and silent stare unsettled him. His heart pounded. Why did she look so confident? The gym remained eerily silent. Even Logan's friends, who usually hyped him up, exchanged uneasy glances. Still, Logan couldn't back down, not in front of everyone. "What, you think you're tough?" he scoffed, stepping closer. "You don't talk, you don't flinch. What's wrong with you?" Maya tilted her head slightly. Still no response. Logan's temper flared. He grabbed her backpack strap and yanked it hard. Big mistake. Maya moved like lightning. Before Logan even registered what was happening, Maya's hand snatched his wrist midair, twisting it just enough to send a jolt of pain shooting up his arm. His breath hitched. The entire gym gasped. Maya's voice was calm and controlled, the first time she had spoken to him directly. "You like picking on people smaller than you?" Logan tried to yank his arm free, but her grip was like steel. His face twisted in pain, his confidence crumbling. Jake and the others froze. No one had ever put Logan in this position before. Maya slowly leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're not as strong as you think." And then she let go. Logan stumbled back, his wrist red and sore. He clenched his jaw, his pride shattered. For the first time, he wasn't the one in control. But instead of fighting back, instead of making a scene, he did something he never thought he would do. He hesitated. The fear in his eyes was unmistakable. Maya took a step back, completely unfazed. Then, with a small, almost amused shake of her head, she turned and walked away, leaving Logan humiliated in front of everyone. But it wasn't over yet, because Logan was the kind of guy who never let things go. And what happened next? No one saw coming. Logan stood frozen, his wrist still aching from Maya's grip. His face burned with humiliation. The gym full of students was no longer cheering for him. They were staring, whispering, some even smirking. Jake, his closest friend, leaned in. "Dude, what the hell was that?" Logan clenched his fists. His entire identity was built on being untouchable, and now in front of everyone, a girl, a quiet girl, had embarrassed him. He wouldn't let it slide. As Maya walked out of the gym, Logan's expression darkened. "She thinks she's tough," he muttered. "She's got another thing coming." His friends exchanged looks. They knew Logan's temper. They knew he never let things go. But this wasn't just about payback. This was about restoring his image. And Logan was already planning his next move. The next morning, Maya walked through the school halls like she always did, calm, focused, unbothered. But she could feel the shift. The stares. The whispers. Logan had clearly been talking. As she reached her locker, she noticed something. Logan and his crew standing at the end of the hallway. Watching her. Waiting. Maya sighed. She knew this was coming. When she closed her locker, Logan was suddenly beside her. "Hey, Maya," he said, voice dripping with fake friendliness. "You walked out before I could thank you for yesterday." Maya didn't react. She just raised an eyebrow. Logan's smirk returned. "You're strong. I'll give you that. But let's see how strong you are when you're outnumbered." Maya glanced behind him. 3 of his friends were moving in. A classic setup. She didn't flinch. Instead, she calmly put her backpack strap over her shoulder. "You sure you want to do this?" Jake scoffed. "You got lucky yesterday. Logan's just here to remind you where you stand." Maya looked Logan dead in the eyes. "I stand wherever I want." And that's when the chaos erupted. Logan lunged, but Maya was already moving. She sidestepped effortlessly, sending Logan crashing into the lockers with a loud bang. Students turned their heads. One of his friends grabbed for her wrist. Big mistake. Maya twisted his arm, flipping him onto his back in one swift motion. A painful grunt escaped his lips. Jake rushed in next. Maya ducked, sweeping his legs out from under him. He hit the floor hard. Logan scrambled to his feet, rage taking over. He swung wildly. Maya caught his arm midair again. And this time, she didn't let go. She twisted just enough to send him to his knees. The hallway was dead silent. Everyone was watching. Maya stared down at Logan, her voice quiet but sharp. "If you ever try this again, I won't just embarrass you. I'll end your reputation." Logan's eyes flickered. For the first time in his life, he felt powerless. Maya let go. Logan gasped, stumbling back. His friends were already retreating. The crowd burst into whispers. Some people even laughed. Maya calmly walked away, leaving Logan in ruins. But what she didn't know was that this wasn't over. Because Logan? He was about to do something desperate. That night, Logan sat in his room, staring at his phone. He couldn't let this end here. He scrolled through his contacts, stopping a name. A senior. Someone with a reputation far worse than his. He took a deep breath and typed, "I need your help. Meet me tomorrow. I may have one today." But Logan was about to change the game. The next morning, Logan's plan was in motion. He had gathered a group of older students, some of the toughest in school, to take Maya down a peg. He'd been planning this for hours. They were going to corner her after school in the parking lot. Logan knew he couldn't just attack her directly. It had to be the right moment where she couldn't escape. It had to be perfect. As the school day went on, Maya felt the tension in the air. The whispers were louder than ever. She knew something was coming, and though she didn't want to admit it, she was already prepared. Maya had always been prepared for the worst. At lunch, she walked into the cafeteria like it was any other day. But when she looked up, she saw Logan's gang watching her from across the room. She wasn't afraid, but she knew something wasn't right. The tension was palpable. But Maya didn't react. She sat down, opened her lunch, and continued eating. She wasn't giving them the satisfaction of seeing her flinch. Logan, frustrated that she wasn't taking the bait, texted his group. "She's too calm. We need to hit her where it hurts." After school. Parking lot. Beat there. His eyes never left Maya's table, but he couldn't hide his growing rage. He was determined to make her pay. After the final bell rang, students rushed out to the parking lot, heading for their cars, laughing or joking with friends. But Maya had a different plan. She'd known this was coming, and she had a counter move already set in place. She left through the side exit, avoiding the main crowds, heading to a spot she knew was off the beaten path. The parking lot was big, with areas that were rarely used. That's where she'd wait. As she approached the area, she saw the cars of Logan's crew parked nearby. But something was wrong. Maya's instincts screamed at her this was a trap. She spotted a few of Logan's guys hiding behind the vehicles, thinking they were out of her sight. But Maya wasn't caught off guard. With one quick motion, she stepped to the side, revealing she'd been waiting for this exact moment. "Looking for me?" she called out, her voice calm but carrying. Logan's gang froze. They hadn't expected this. Suddenly, Maya's phone rang. She picked it up, still looking at them. It was a message from her best friend, Olivia. "You're being watched. Keep going." Maya smiled. She knew Olivia had been tracking her phone's location and had informed the authorities. It was too late. Logan's plan was falling apart. Logan stepped out from behind a car, a smirk on his face. "Thought you could run from me, huh?" Maya remained still, eyes cold as ice. "I didn't come to fight." Logan's crew laughed, thinking they had her cornered. "You sure about that?" "Because you're outnumbered, Maya." But Maya wasn't intimidated. She knew the odds, and she knew how to use them against them. Logan took a step forward. Big mistake. Before he could blink, Maya had already swiped the keys from his hand and tossed them across the lot. His eyes widened. What the hell? In that instant, Maya made her move. She kicked the back of his knee, sending him crashing to the ground. As Logan hit the asphalt, the entire gang stood frozen. Maya stood tall, unshaken. "You're done," she said calmly, looking down at him. "You're all done." Logan tried to get back up, but he couldn't. Maya had outwitted him, and now he was the one on the ground. Maya backed away slowly, her voice steady. "Go ahead, make your next move. But this time, I won't be so kind." Logan's face twisted with frustration. He was beaten by a girl he thought he could easily control. But Maya wasn't about to stop there. She knew exactly how to deal with this once and for all. Just as Logan stood up, trying to regain his composure, sirens blared in the distance. It was Olivia. She'd taken the precaution of alerting school security and the local police. They were closing in. Logan's eyes widened, panic flooding him. He couldn't believe what was happening. The game had changed. When the police arrived, Maya calmly explained the situation, while Logan tried to deny everything. But the evidence was undeniable. His gang, his plan, his threats. It was over. Logan and his friends were escorted to the principal's office, where the authorities were called in for a full investigation. Maya, on the other hand, stood tall, knowing that she had won, without throwing a single punch. And as she left the scene, a new respect for her started to form in the eyes of everyone who had once doubted her. Maya wasn't just strong, she was unbreakable. In the days that followed, Logan's reputation took a massive hit. His friends abandoned him. The students who once looked up to him now whispered behind his back. He had been humbled in the most public way possible. Maya, however, walked with her head held high. She'd learned something about herself in the process. True strength wasn't about size or force. It was about knowing when to stand your ground, when to walk away, and when to fight back in your own way. She had shown Logan and everyone else that it was never about who was tougher. It was about who had the most heart. And Maya? She had the heart of a warrior. After the incident, Maya became somewhat of a school legend. She wasn't just the girl who stood up to the bully. She was the girl who outsmarted him. Word of what happened spread quickly through the school. Teachers, students, even some parents started looking at Maya differently. Her strength, both physical and mental, had earned her the respect of even those who once doubted her. By the following week, the dynamic at school had shifted. Logan, who once ruled the halls with his swagger, was now a shadow of his former self. Maya, on the other hand, found herself approached by others, students who had once stayed out of her way, now offering their support and respect. Even some of the toughest kids, who had once laughed at her quiet demeanor, were now acknowledging her. They respected her strength and courage. Maya, however, stayed humble. She didn't need the recognition. She was content knowing that she had done the right thing and shown others that they didn't need to put up with bullying or intimidation. In the aftermath of Logan's fall, the school administration began taking bullying more seriously. They initiated a series of assemblies and workshops aimed at raising awareness about bullying and teaching students how to stand up for themselves without violence. Maya was asked to speak at one of these assemblies, not as someone who needed saving, but as someone who could help others find their strength. Standing in front of the school, she addressed the crowd, her voice steady and unwavering. It's not about how big you are or how tough you seem. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone take that from you. You are all stronger than you think. Never let anyone make you feel small. The room fell silent as Maya spoke. For many students, it was the first time they'd heard a message like this, one of self-respect, courage, and empowerment. Meanwhile, Logan was forced to confront the consequences of his actions. Suspended for his behavior, he spent time reflecting on what had happened. His once loud and confident persona had been shattered, leaving behind a young man grappling with the realization of his mistakes. He tried to blame everyone but himself at first, his friends, the school, Maya. But as the days passed, he began to understand the weight of his actions. Logan had spent so long trying to prove his superiority over others that he never considered what it would be like if the tables were turned. Now he was the one humiliated, the one without a voice. But that was the consequence of his bullying. Logan's journey back to respect wasn't going to be easy, but the first step came when he reached out to Maya. A few weeks later, after returning to school, Logan found Maya in the hallway. He was nervous, unsure of how she would react. She'd been so strong in every moment, he wasn't sure she would accept his apology. "Maya, can we talk?" Logan said, his voice low. Maya turned, raising an eyebrow, clearly surprised. She had moved on from the events of the parking lot, but she could tell Logan was serious. "Yeah. What's up?" she replied, her voice cool but open. Logan took a deep breath. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything. The way I treated you, the things I said. I was wrong, and I get it now." Maya stared at him for a long moment, evaluating his sincerity. "Apology accepted," she said simply, her expression softening. It wasn't about forgiving him, it was about recognizing that people can change, even if it takes time. For Logan, that moment marked the beginning of his own transformation. He would never forget how Maya had made him realize the true meaning of strength, and he would work hard every day to rebuild the respect he had lost. By the end of the school year, Maya had become something of a symbol for resilience and self-respect. Her story spread beyond the school, inspiring others in the community to stand up to bullying and speak out against injustice. Maya had proven that it wasn't about physical strength or how many people you could intimidate. It was about believing in yourself and standing up for what's right even when the odds seemed impossible. As for Logan, he quietly acknowledged his role in the bullying, working behind the scenes to make amends. He wasn't looking for anyone's approval, just for the chance to become a better person. For both Maya and Logan, their paths diverged, but the lessons they had learned would stay with them forever. Maya knew that she wasn't just a survivor. She was a force of change. And that's how one small act of standing up to a bully turned into a movement that rippled through an entire school, leaving a legacy of strength, courage, and respect that would endure for years to come.